Hello, ladies and gentlemen. Welcome back to the Bleach Anime Returns Podcast. Today, I am joined with JCloud Anime Talks. He is a Black Clover channel here on YouTube, who something I wasn't aware of was actually pretty deep into Bleach a while back. So I'm excited to have him here on the channel.
Yeah, thanks for inviting me, man.
Yeah. I just saw a few tweets here and there, and I was like, oh, wow, this man likes Bleach. Gotta talk to him about Bleach, because I've never heard you talk about it much.
I used to talk about Bleach a lot, like in early stages of my YouTube. But I used to make it's Bleach returning videos, because like Bleach is what everybody say like Dragon Ball and everything else got them to anime, which I did grow up on Dragon Ball and everything. I watched it as a kid, but Bleach was my gateway. So like I started watching everything after Bleach. So yeah, Bleach is like my top series when it comes to the big three.
Oh wow! Okay, let's go. Yeah. Can we get a round of applause? That's good. Because you always hear people say either One Piece or Naruto. Rarely do you hear people say Bleach is their favorite of the big three. It's like the least heard statement.
Yeah, man, because everybody was like, when I was growing up, everybody was into like Naruto and everything else. Really, not a lot of people was into Bleach back then. But I always liked Naruto. Naruto was gas, but I think because like Ichigo became like my favorite shonen protagonist, and at that point it was a little biased, but like the Soul Society arc just took everything. I was like, wow, this is really gas. Yeah. And I caught up on it where I think they didn't have all the episodes yet. So I was watching it weekly, and then I just took a break for a long time till they finished. And then the Full Brain arc came on. That's when I just binged it.
No, I have been a massive fan of Bleach. Similar reasoning. It was my gateway anime. And then it wasn't my first anime, but it was definitely my gateway anime. One could say. So to get started, what's your favorite like character in all of Bleach?
Oh, I think I just said it earlier. Well, no, I'd say that's my favorite protagonist. But yeah, Ichigo is my favorite.
So he's your favorite protagonist and your favorite character?
Yeah, and Bleach, yeah.
I respect that, because that's another very underrated take in the Bleach community. I love Ichigo. I love him a lot. He's not my favorite character, but I love his character a lot. I think he's underrated. His whole journey in finding his identity was beautiful.
Yeah, it is, man. Like, Ichigo... I say like probably second is probably between Aizen or Grimmjow. Between them two. Yeah,
that's fair. I like both of those characters a lot, especially Sosuke Aizen. I never grew up as a Grimmjow fan. I was always Ukiyor or a Stark fan when I was watching Bleach. But Grimmjow, I feel like Grimmjow is the character that grows on you, especially from like his cool initial impact on the series, because he really shows you what strength is in terms of the Arrancar arcs.
He had a dope introduction too.
Yeah, his introduction was fire. He just he stabbed one-shot Rukia, and then he turns around. he Momo's Rukia for real, except with his arm.
Yeah, he did, man. and he was bodying Ichigo pretty much the entire fight.
Yeah, it was gas. I definitely agree with you. That was goated. So overall, you're a Black Clover YouTuber, of course. So this is like the more interesting dynamic I kind of want to zoom in on in today's episode, because I've done this with so many people at this point that most people hear everything there is to say at this point, and I don't want people to get bored with these episodes. So I kind of want to zoom a little bit in on Black Clover.
Gotcha.
When it comes to Bleach, because one of my favorite aspects of Black Clover is when I watch it, I see so much inspiration taken from Bleach. Like with Noelle and I can't remember her brother.
Noelle and Nozel.
Noelle and Nozel. Like I totally see Byakuya and Rukia in that kind of like similarity. Like, do you know if it's like confirmed inspiration or not? Because it is so similar. Not to where it's ripped off, because they still have their unique aspects, if you know what I mean. but it's just interesting in its similarity, you know? Like, Noelle has her interesting aspect of being unable to control her magic, of course, which is always very interesting. I love as she progresses throughout the story and learns how to control it, eventually becoming one of the strongest characters in the series. But
yeah.
Do you know?
Tabata always like talked about how like his inspiration when it comes to his series, like for example Asta, you can tell that he referenced that because Berserk is his favorite series, like that he talked about. So you can tell he got inspiration from Asta's sword, from inspired by Guts. It's a lot of Berserk references in Black Clover, but he also talks about Kubo a lot. So he's a huge fan of Bleach, and you can tell that just the Magic Knight Captain setting, especially when they sit on the round table and stuff like that, is heavy on Bleach inspiration. And then if you look at Rukia's and Byakuya's story, their connection is almost like it's identical but remixed when it comes to Nozel and Noelle. There's so many parallels that the inspiration is there, you know.
Yeah, it's like I hate using words like this. It's almost impossible. Like even if the mangaka didn't say anything, it's almost impossible to say that the inspiration wasn't there. You know what I mean?
Exactly, because everything starts as an inspiration. You know.
Now I will say Tabata has adapted it well to a different degree, to where it is different. It's unique in its own way because it's an inspiration. It's not like he's ripping them off. But I saw that with like the captains too. It felt very similar to like the Gotai 13. But I also feel that way with shows like Demon Slayer, like the whole Hashira group. That always felt very Gotai 13 feeling, if you know what I mean.
Yeah, I do feel like that. It's another character in Black Clover too. Everybody when they first saw this guy, they were like, "Oh, this is like he's very similar to Hisugaya." And Black Clover, in Bleach, we're talking about Real. Real's the youngest captain. He's like Asta's age, like 17, 18-ish. You know, they're really young. I think Real is like 17, 18, 19. I think he's 19. I gotta look. But he's very young. And compared to all the other captains that's in their 20s or 30s and stuff like that. And you see him, you know, he's always like looked at as like, okay, this guy got potential. That's the same thing how the captains look at Hisugaya, you know. So, and you know, their hair is kind of similar. Well, in a way, because he really used to have this spiky hair. Now it's short in a time skip, but you can tell it was inspired there. So, yeah.
Okay, that makes sense. Yeah, and then also the whole design for again, I'm terrible with Black Clover names. I think it starts with a Z. Zen, the guy that looks like Ukiyor.
Oh, Jack the Ripper.
Maybe
you talking about the guy that? Oh no. I'm thinking about another guy in Bleach, but because he's also that's another inspiration too. But you're talking about Xenon.
Yeah, Xenon.
Yeah,
that was so sick seeing that design as a Bleach fan. I love that so much.
Yeah, man.
So do you like genuinely enjoy it?
Black Clover?
No, when Tabata, like, of course you enjoy Black Clover, but when Tabata references Bleach in all these unique ways, or what do you think about the references? Do you ever think it's too similar? Do you think it's unique enough, or do you think, like, what are your thoughts on the inspirations?
Oh, I think it's definitely, Tabata still has this unique flair to it, but you can definitely see the inspiration, because you can tell, like, if you were to put, because I remember I posted this on Twitter, I put Xenon's his transformation next to Okiora's, and you can tell the inspiration, but you can also tell there's a clear difference. You know, there's a huge difference, but you can tell that this was inspired by that because you see the little hole in his chest because it was, you know, inflicted a hole, where Okiora has a hole because he's, you know, the hollow form. It's, you know, the inspiration is definitely there, and I don't have an issue when Tabata does these little references from Bleach, because especially Bleach is, you know, like I said before, it's my favorite. It's like top series. It's not my favorite series because I got Code Geass and Full Monotonous Brotherhood on that, but Bleach is up there, you know. So I like seeing series that I enjoy references in series that I also enjoy as well. It's like best of both worlds,
Yeah, no, I totally get that. Because personally, I love series like Black Clover that show that inspiration, or Jujutsu Kaisen, which, as we know, has very heavy Kubo influence throughout the story.
Yeah, which is another series I cover because Yuji kind of reminds me of Ichigo a little bit.
I think he reminds me of like a darker version of
Yeah.
Ichigo. Like if Ichigo went down almost a darker path.
Yeah.
As a whole. Like I think they have a lot of similarities, but Gege definitely makes him like unique enough to have its own flair, if that makes sense.
Right.
But I definitely like he definitely has like Ichigo little bro energy, you know what I mean?
Yeah.
Yeah. So when it comes to Bleach, and I'm kind of going to zone in on the 1,000-year Blood War arc here with the return. What are your thoughts on the return of the 1,000-year Blood War? Are you excited? Are you planning on covering it on your channel? And what do you think of 1,000-year Blood War as a whole?
I think the 1,000-year Blood War arc was like, because I remember I was reading it weekly. Mm-hmm. And I remember I was so hyped to the point where because it was like you knew Ichigo's Bankai was coming because they did all the training and whatnot. I was like, okay, I can't wait to see it. And I remember like going through the panel, like I went to the next panel when he transformed, he used his Bankai. Yeah, you know, his perfect Bankai. And you see this awesome form. And then you scroll to the next page, it's gone. I'm like, wait, what just happened? You know, I literally cried laughing because I'm like, there's no way. I'm like, did we just get trolled? And I remember I was so upset with that because I was like, because Bleach got announced it was ending way before that Ichigo used his Bankai. Mm-hmm. So I wanted to see, okay, let's see his true Bankai, and we didn't see it. I was like, dang. And I remember I was upset because I'm like, yeah, we probably never gonna see Ichigo's Bankai, you know. And then now that we get this one shot, which it was unexpected. I didn't expect a one shot, dude. I knew the anime was gonna come back, but I did not expect a one shot. When we see the one shot, I was like, yes. Now we get to see because clearly it's different than how Kishimoto incorporated Boruto. Boruto was the focus point, and Naruto was slowly in the back, like more throughout the story. He was getting in the background, but you know the way that Kubo was handling it, Ichigo was still the focus, even though he has a son. He's still the main character, and I think that we're definitely going to see Ichigo's true power now, especially in this Hell arc we get into. But I think the 1,000-year Blood War arc, it seemed a little rushed. There were some things that just didn't execute well. Yeah. I still give it about like a 7.5 or 8 out of 10 because it was hype. But I feel like story-wise, like some of the writing portions, you can tell that Kubo was trying to get this done fast.
Yeah, I mean, as we know, Kubo was dealing with health issues at the time.
Yeah,
and then on top of that, he was just trying to finish it, but he still ended it the way that I feel like he desired to end it.
Yeah,
I mean, we hear him say that in an interview. I mean, I personally rank the 1,000-year Blood War a little bit higher than that. I think I don't think any of the rushed parts ever felt bad up until Silver came into play.
Yeah.
Like the Ichigo versus Yubak is actually one of my favorite fights in the series.
Same. I love that fight.
Yeah, even with Silver's involvement. It probably would be my favorite fight in the series if he was defeated through other means.
Yeah, I'll say the way he was defeated, I was like, you know, I was kind of indifferent about it. I didn't hate it, but I wish it was different.
Yeah. Like, I give the arc a 9.5 out of 10. And I know that's really high. But when I think about it, I don't have a lot. I think a lot of the genuine criticism the arc gets isn't fair. I think when you closer examine it, a lot of the flaws don't stand up as much. I mean,
especially if you do a reread.
Yeah, I have a few issues with the arc. Like, that's why I don't give it a 10 out of 10. But, I don't think it's a 7.5 or an 8. I think that would be fair for like the second half, but even the second half I think is goated with some issues. Like, because the more I think of it, like there's Mayuri's whole involvement. There's Toshiro's. I love how Toshiro grew in the arc. More so than Mayuri. I feel like Toshiro had a few issues here and there with his growth.
Yeah,
almost like a lack of character growth at the very least.
I can agree to that. Yeah.
So what was your biggest favorite aspect of the arc, and what was your biggest disappointment? Well, the Bankai thing, probably.
Bankai thing was the biggest disappointment, but my favorite thing, it was Kenpachi's Bankai.
Ooh.
Kenpachi, man, like that form was so sick. I was like, man, this dude is like a red version of Incredible Hulk. It was so awesome because I didn't expect. Because I was reading Bleach Weekly blindly, so I wasn't spoiled on the leaks when people were like on the leaks, and leaks wasn't that crazy back then. You really didn't get spoiled like that nowadays. But I went to the blind, and I remember I seen that form. I was like, oh my goodness, like. And then we ended off that cliffhanger when he started like I forgot the giant Quincy. I forgot his name all the time.
Gerard.
That he fought. Yeah, him. I love that. Well, I can't even really call it a fight because like it was kind of quick. But I already know when anime comes back, they're gonna extend the heck out of that. It's gonna go on longer. But that was like my favorite moment.
You know what's wild to me? As I reread Thousand Year Blood War, a lot of the fights are a lot longer than we think. Like
they are.
You know how people were complaining like the Yuabak fight being too short?
Yeah.
I could be wrong about this. It's been a while since I checked, but I'm pretty sure the Yuabak is the longest fight in the series. Like
Yuha versus Ichigo?
Yeah, in chapters. Yeah. Because it spans over like 20 chapters.
It did. I didn't feel like that fight was short, to be honest.
Yeah. But like a lot of people think it is. And I don't ever feel like the fight was rushed. I feel like Silver was rushed when it comes to that fight. But touche. What do you think about the whole idea behind Ichigo losing his Bankai? Because, breaking his Bankai being broken. Because I know some people like that from a thematic perspective. I know you didn't like it from a hype in the moment perspective, but have you thought about the thematics behind the fight?
You mean like the reason why it was gone?
Yeah.
It's been so long since I read that part, but I mean when it happened, I understood. Like I understood why it happened. Like mainly for Kubo's situation because it's health problem, but also in the story as well. I understood why it happened and everything because Yuha was written in this way of this guy that can just steal stuff and just like this overpowered juggernaut. Because I knew for a fact reading it, Ichigo power alone was not going to defeat this dude.
Yeah,
it was like, and I feel like Kubo. I mean, I think he wrote himself in a corner a little bit since he was rushing, just a little bit. When he was just Ichigo versus Yuha, because I think he knew in his mind like, yeah, there's no way I can easily just give Ichigo an overpowered Bankai and just destroy Yuha. But we knew that Yuha was just at that time. I just feel like Ichigo was not ready. So I kind of like it that way. It's like because who knew that your main protagonist, of a series was going to get a power up and it's gone. Like literally. Then like the next page, and he had to help like from his like one of his main adversaries to defeat this dude. Yeah, I kind of like I like the conclusion of it, even though I had a little problem with it, but that's more so I think it's because like Kubo spoiled us when it came to Bankais, man. Yeah, like when somebody said Bankai, you was hype.
I agree with you. Actually, like I totally agree with Ichigo's Bankai because I mean I study chapters of Bleach like that chapter and look at it from a thematic perspective. And I think thematically it's beautiful that he lost it. Yeah, but it almost feels like you as the viewer loses in a sense because you watch Ichigo go through all this training and what did it amount to? Nothing. All this buildup. You watched Ichigo face his past. And while thematically that's beautiful with the whole message at the end about like, courage and stuff like that, how even when all odds are against you and all your training amounts to nothing, you standing up is enough to win. Yeah. In the end. And I love that whole thematic prevalence for that fight. But it still feels so painful to read the fight and watch him go through the training, fight his origin story, accept who he is. The Blade is Me chapter, which I wonder, that's probably one of your favorite chapters being an Ichigo fan.
Yeah, it was.
Yeah, where he's like accepting Zangetsu as himself. And because
Ichigo always struggled with just using his own powers. Like, enter battle with his hollow and everything. He always had self-doubt and hesitated. We've seen a lot of that that really started to notice. We really started to notice Ichigo having self-doubt when his powers or afraid to use it when he was fighting Grimjaw.
Yeah.
He was just having these inner battles.
And especially after the Vasto Lorde moment, when he became Vasto Lorde, he was so fearful of his Hollow Mask that he gave up the perfect chance to defeat Aizen.
Yeah.
Because Aizen even stated, if you had come at me at full force, you could have hurt me.
Yeah.
Maybe if he did have his Hollow Mask out the second he did the surprise attack, he would have hurt Aizen. Not 100%. Because we know Aizen likes to use terms to mess with people's minds, so we don't know 100% of the statements that he says are accurate all the time.
Yeah. Yeah.
But Ichigo was self-doubting. He doubted himself, and we hear that, and that kind of continues the cycle throughout the story as Kubo slowly drives that meaning forward. He's a teenager who doesn't know who he is as an individual, and he has to find his identity. And one of the ways he does that is by accepting his hollow powers, his Quincy powers, and his Shinigami powers.
Yeah, that's a lot. I think a lot of people also forget. Ichigo was during that time was very young. He was still a teenager, really young. It's hard to think about it because he doesn't look like one, but
he's one of the shonen protagonists that doesn't look like a kid. Naruto looks like a kid. Asta looks like a kid, except Wide Asta, but we don't talk about that. All these protagonists look like a kid, and then there's Ichigo, which looks like a man.
Right?
Well, I think that's what I love about Bleach. It didn't feel like a bunch of teenagers in high school. It felt like a bunch of teenagers becoming adults. If you know what I mean. That you kind of get that feeling from the show.
Yeah, because I remember watching the when they went into Wakamundo. And I remember that Ging was looking at the scans. He was like, "These kids," and I was like, "Kids," and I was like, "I forget." Oh yeah, they are young. I mean, forgetting. It's just they don't seem like kids. It reminds me of I was watching JoJo. I think it was part 3 of Jotaro, and dude looked like they were kids. They're like teenagers. I'm like, this dude looked like he's 28 at best. Yeah, he's 18. It's crazy.
I'm not gonna lie. When I first saw an image of Jotaro, I thought he was in his mid 30s. He's huge.
30. There's no way, man. He was made in a lab.
Yeah, man was experimented on for real.
Yeah.
Why didn't the government capture him and experiment on him? Obviously he got peak genes.
Right? Man.
No, I totally agree. I love how anime goes either the extreme young look or the extreme older look. It's never in between.
It's not, and I think it's probably nowadays more of a new style now.
Yeah,
that they make these young shonen protagonists look young. Because for example, if Bleach, let's be hypothetical. If the one shot came out, let's say during the time of when Bleach was around, as soon as it ended, Ichigo's son probably would look tall as heck. Now he's he's short. He would look like a grown man.
Ichigo's son is just Jotaro.
Yeah. He look crazy.
Oh yeah, and Chad's one of the characters in Bleach that just looks like there's no way this guy's a kid.
Yeah, it's crazy. When you see his backstory, he looked like a kid, but then it's man, this Chad's genes is insane.
Yeah, I want Chad's genes. Oh wait, that's a pause moment right there. But anyway.
Oh yeah, that's pause. They can pause it.
Yeah. So yeah. What do you think of early Bleach, early 1,000-Year Blood War? When I say early Bleach, not early Bleach as in the first arc, but early 1,000-Year Blood War, the intro into the war, where Yamamoto dies, Chojiro dies, Byakuya dies in air quotes.
Yeah, air quotes.
Actually, that's a better question. Do you think Byakuya should have died in the work?
That's a tough question. I think, him being alive, I really didn't have an issue too much with it. I think that if he would have died, that would have been a perfect death. It would have been a perfect death for him. But and knowing that, with this one shot, we see that, you know, they level of Reishi, you know, when it's a pass was a third, they'll go to hell. Probably would have seen Byakuya in hell. You know, it's a high chance. So now looking at it in hindsight, would I prefer he died just for that? Maybe. But I really don't have an issue for him staying alive. I know a lot of people had issues I think they had issues because he died. But it was like you had one part of the fandom that hated that he came back alive. Then you had one part of the fandom that hated that he died. So it was really no in between.
Yeah, there was the Byakuya scandal that was going on where and I don't know too much about because I wasn't on social media during the time, but I've spoken to a few content creators on that. James Hansen for one. I don't know the meats and potatoes, and James Hansen actually didn't give me most of my information. I got most of it from Reddit. We know how reliable Reddit is, but pretty much when Byakuya died, a lot of Byakuya fans targeted Tite Kubo with death threats.
They harassed him,
and harassed him. And whether Kubo brought Byakuya back because of the response to the harassment or because he just always planned to is irrelevant in the matter. I think there's arguments for both sides because Kubo has publicly said that social media has changed how he's written his story when he gave advice to new people to not listen to social media and sometimes not even being active on social media as it will influence your story.
It will. The guy that writes Attack on Titan fell into that.
Yeah, Isayama.
Yeah. He and like when he dropped that chapter before the extra pages, Attack on Titan fans were pissed. They was like, "Oh, this was so mid. This was bad. This was one of the worst endings ever." I'm like, okay, like the ending wasn't all that, but it was not the worst ending ever. But he came out and stated that, you know, he's seen the reviews of people spoke about the ending. He was disappointed in himself and everything. I was like, no, and then out of nowhere, he dropped those extra pages, and I feel like them extra pages made Attack on Titan worse.
No, I agree.
I'm like, no, you should have just ended how you ended it, even though it wasn't the best ending, it wasn't the worst ending, but you ended how you wanted it. But I feel like he ended in a way where just trying to give the fans something more, where you ended on a cliffhanger that can be potentially a new series. Now people are going to be expecting a new series, and when they don't get it, because there's no guarantee that Attack on Titan is going to continue. If they don't get it, they're going to be more pissed about this ending. And this ending kind of made it, you know, I don't want to spoil nothing, but it kind of made Aaron's goal kind of somewhat pointless.
Yeah, no, so I'm not caught up on Attack on Titan, but I have been explained from start to finish most of the story.
Yeah.
And hearing what was originally the ending, and I did read the last chapter. It was hilarious. I'm sorry. I don't have a problem with it, but there's a few scenes that are pretty funny.
Yeah. The crying scene, right?
Yep.
Yeah.
I was like, so this is what Aaron becomes. A simp. Wait, what? Anyway.
Oh, wow.
Aaron really just Sanji, but worse for her. Let's talk about it.
Oh, wow. You can make somebody mad.
You hear that, RTL Faith? If you're watching this, your favorite protagonist is just a Sanji clone.
Oh, man. Yeah, I forgot he loves Aaron.
Yeah, he says that he's the greatest protagonist of all shonen. I don't know if he still stands by that. I haven't spoken to him in a while, but
yeah, I don't know. Yeah. I mean, I think he does probably, because I remember him talk about a lot. Like, who's your favorite shonen protagonist? I was like, something like, I think like Ichigo's my favorite, but best written is Lelouch.
Oh, that's fair. Like, Lelouch, in my opinion, is the greatest written protagonist of all time.
Yes.
Ichigo isn't my favorite protagonist written of all time, but he's up there. He's like top 3 for me.
Yeah.
And then probably top 5 writing wise, in my opinion.
Yeah.
I just relate to Ichigo. I love his whole identification
story.
Man. Like, again, the blade is me. It's just so well written. His origin story. I just can't wait. Because you have to realize, like, you gotta think, like, 80% of Bleach fans don't know Ichigo's origin story.
No, they don't. I think a lot of people probably just either they forgot about the origin story or they just didn't read it.
Oh,
you know, like,
yeah.
Because that reveal that he was got Quincy blood, I was like, what?
And it doesn't come out of nowhere. Some people are like, "Oh, this is a pull out of nowhere, Deus Ex Machina. What the heck is this?" But it's very it was
foreshadowed.
Not only was it foreshadowed throughout the entire story, it was also heavily like if you follow Tite Kubo, the story of Bleach is very related to Shintoism and Buddhism.
Yeah.
So I can't remember the exact term on the top of my head. It's pretty late at night. Got back from work, like just for like 50 minutes ago. But there's a term where there's a being. I can't remember if it's Buddhism or Shintoism. I apologize to people of those religions because they shouldn't be mixed together. You know, they're different. And I mean no disrespect. Again, it's just late and I can't remember. But there's a term that means like four bodies, and it's all about four different spirits being like into one. And one spirit perfectly describes humans, one spirit perfectly describes hollows, one spirit perfectly describes Quincy, and the other spirit perfectly describes Shinigami. So like it really like if you studied Buddhism and Shintoism, you should be able to see the Quincy powers coming a mile away.
Also, Ichigo represents those four spirits.
Yeah, pretty much. And Fullbringer, of course, is it's not really a species per se.
Yeah, just him being human.
Yeah. Fullbringer. I mean, you have to have a Soul King's fragment or something like that.
Yeah.
But it's not really a species per se. It's more like an ability, I guess, is the best way to describe Fullbringer. To people who aren't like deep into Bleach lore, I'd say it's more like a power system that it deprives of Quincy's. And of course, you know, the Soul King's fragment. But yeah.
Yeah.
So there's that. But yeah, so Ichigo's entire origin is like foreshadowed, and it's probably one of the best parts of Bleach. That Kenpachi story. Who do you think is like the GOAT of Thousand Year Blood War?
Who's the who?
The GOAT of Thousand Year Blood War. The person that took the most W's. The person that's just was the best in Thousand Year Blood War.
It's a hard question because it's been like I think like 2 years since I read Thousand Year Blood War.
Yeah, it's to think about for a bit.
Yeah, because it's been a minute. I can't really remember who took the most W's, but I forgot to add the part because you did ask me a question. What was my favorite moment? And I did say the Kenpachi moment. I forgot the Yamamoto moment. Yamamoto moment was gas, man. But I can't say he was like the MVP of Thousand Year. It's been a minute. I can't really remember on that.
That's fair. I give it to either Mayuri or Kenpachi usually. At least if we're not including gods like Ichigo and Aizen.
yeah, Ichigo and Aizen.
Yeah.
But yeah, Kenpachi probably that's probably the safest to say. Because I remember everything Kenpachi did.
Yeah. And then Mayuri also did a crap load. I think he fought in total. He fought several Sterners. He fought the zombie Gazelle, which nobody should simp for Gazelle, but we'll get over that. I'm sorry. I know a Bleach YouTuber out there that simps for Gazelle, and I'm calling him out.
Oh man!
But yeah. So favorite character is Ichigo. You really like Aizen. So what do you think of Aizen's role in Thousand Year Blood War?
I feel like it was fair. Like him just, being because he was locked up. I didn't expect Aizen to be that much involved. I didn't expect Aizen to have a part in the ending.
Yeah,
but
same.
I didn't expect that. I felt like Aizen was just going to escape. Eventually, because we didn't have any news that Bleach was ending during that time when we saw Aizen again. So I thought that the next arc was going to involve Aizen, and I felt like he was going to escape. So I didn't expect much of a role from him because I know there were some people upset like, oh, I wish Aizen had a bigger part. I mean, what could he do? What could he have done? Mm-hmm. I think his role was, putting U-Haul in that hypnosis. In the beginning, like I think that was perfect, especially how, because that was really, if it wasn't for Aizen, there would have been no way U-Haul would have lost. To be honest, it would have been no way. So I liked his role because he kind of saved the Soul Society in a way.
Yeah, I mean, I love the whole line where Aizen looks at Yubak and says, "Welcome to my Soul Society."
Yeah,
bruh, it's so good. And then Aizen gets like that final speech that brings the entire story back into one place. Actually, is probably the most redeeming aspect of the ending. Although, like I've said, I actually really do like the ending of Bleach. I think Silver could have been done better. I'm not the biggest fan of Silver, but I still think Silver was okay because it did get foreshadowed a little bit. I would have preferred it a little more. It's definitely a plot device. I know some people call it Deus Ex Machina. I don't think it's a Deus Ex Machina. I just think it's a plot device. A poorly done plot device, but a plot device nonetheless.
Right.
But yeah. So to kind of wrap things up into like full circle, is there any like specific parts of Thousand Year Blood War that you're like the most excited to see?
Oh, with this hell arc we heading into?
Oh no, with the anime adaptation.
Oh, with the anime adaptation.
Yeah.
I think I'm excited to see what they're going to add, to be honest, because I think that the anime is going not to be completely different, but I think there's going to be some slight changes as far as the anime, because during that time when Kubo was writing Bleach 1000 Year, he was having no health conditions, so I felt like there was a lot of, because there was some foreshadowing, certain characters going to use Bankai, stuff like that, and it didn't happen during that time. Or certain fights we didn't really get into depth with. And I think that in the anime, when it comes out, I think we're going to see a lot of those fights extended, and I think we're probably going to get some filler into it, canon filler. That's what I like to use the word to use. Some canon filler. I think that the 1000 Year is probably going to, in the anime, there's going to be some changes that you will not find in the manga at all. Like, not like changing as far as story, but I think it's going to be some added additions. It's just because this will be his full vision.
So
of on it.
Passive changes, but not active changes.
Not active changes, and not more so just something drastic, but also like additional like.
So you're not one of those people that thinks that they'll rewrite Byakuya's death in some way.
No, heck no.
Yeah, no, I totally agree with you. I see some people online saying maybe they'll kill off Byakuya for real this time. And I'm like, that ain't happening.
That's not happening at all.
You'd have to rewrite half the story. Then you have like an entire version where like there's this anime canon, now there's this manga canon, and then the manga's continuing, the anime's continuing. They have to rewrite every single fight.
You have to rewatch
the Hell arc. That happens in the light novels, if they ever get adapted. Speaking of which, have you read the light novels?
Oh no, I have not read the light novels. I watched videos on YouTube, like some Bleach YouTubers that broke down some of the light novels, but I haven't checked out the light novels. That's something I need to do, because when Bleach comes back, I definitely want to cover it on the channel. Yeah.
They're really good. Can't Fear Your Own World is definitely better than Spirits Are Forever With You, I'd say. But both are pretty solid. I think Can't Fear Your Own World feels more canon. Spirits Are Forever With You feels less canon. I think they're both still confirmed to be canon. It's just Spirits Are Forever With You is interesting. That's what I'll say. But thank you so much for coming out here and joining me for this video. Well, podcast type joint.
Sure, man.
If you guys haven't subscribed to JCloud, like I said, he covers like Jujutsu Kaisen, Black Clover stuff. A few other things here and there usually, right? Like I'm pretty sure you made something about the one shot on your channel.
I didn't make it. I wanted to, but I was like on vacation, so I didn't want my video to come out too late. So I was but once we get more chapters, I believe we will. I will be covering it. So
I just remember, I remember you saying something on Twitter, and I was like, okay, maybe he made a video that I didn't get a chance to watch, But he's a goat. He owns a boat that can float, and he doesn't. So yeah. Anyway, in the words of Ginichimaru, bye bye.